November has come to an end, and just like last month, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a monthly financial recap, showing you what I made, what I spent throughout the month, and just show you guys how I do my monthly recaps at the end of each month using my spreadsheet. Now, this month I did things a little bit different, and for most of the month, I was actually just using Copilot, which is a budgeting app, which I was running a little experiment to see if it was really worth it, and I'll give my thoughts on that app in a different video. But for simplicity's sake, and to make these videos consistent every month, I've just transferred the data over from Copilot into my monthly spreadsheet, and this way it will look the same as it did last month, and you guys can easily see how I track my money. With that being said, I like watching these videos, so hopefully you do too, and if you do, consider subscribing, because I'm going to start doing these every month. And yeah, with that, let's just jump right into it. So on screen now, you can see my spreadsheet and just what I use, and we'll start up here at the top. We have our expected income box. So at the beginning of the month, I went in and I made this budget, and I thought I'm going to be making it about $5,700, and that was across 2 bi-weekly paychecks that I get from my W-2 job. And my actual income, which you can see over on the right here, I got my same 2 paychecks. They came in right at and slightly below the amounts just due to different things like contributions, taxes, things like that. And then also you'll see that I have a line here for reimbursements that I got back from my company for certain expenses that I incurred through the month. And that was just $63, bringing my total for the month to be $5,838, which came in a little bit over my expected monthly income. So moving down, you'll actually see the budget broken down by category, and you'll see at the top we have our total income shown in the expected and actual columns, and you'll see we've got that just pulling from above. So the first line item you'll see is my Roth 401k contributions, which are the same every paycheck. I put in about $450 each paycheck, and so you can see that I was right on budget there. Both paychecks I contributed that amount. I don't even see that money. It never comes into my bank account, and it just goes straight into retirement, and I set it and forget it, which I think is a great thing to do if you have the available income. So moving down the next line, you'll see we have our take-home pay, which is just a simple calculation which takes the 401k contributions out of our total income. And this is the amount that we actually see come into the bank account and what we have to play with. So right off the bat, you'll see that there's going to be a notable category missing, which is rent and mortgage. The reason being I live with my parents, and this upsets some people. I get a lot of comments on this. I don't really care. That can upset you, and if that does, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. My goals might be different to yours, and luckily I have parents that allow me to. So right now, in where I'm at in my life, that's where I want to be, and it allows me to save a lot more money throughout the month. And so, yeah, moving into our actual first expense, you'll see the food category, and I budgeted $600, and I spent just under that at $597.49. So that one came in almost right on budget, which is actually kind of crazy. That doesn't usually happen. I'm either usually a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. But the reason I budgeted so high for food is, like I said, I don't have rent and stuff, and something I like to do is I eat out a lot. I know I could cut back in this category if I really wanted to save more and more money, which probably would be smart, but then again, you want to enjoy life a little bit, and this is one of the categories that I choose to spend in. Next, you'll see the fun category, which I budgeted $200 at the beginning of the month, and I only spent $34. This was just spent on a new charger on Amazon. I actually could have put this, I guess, in the miscellaneous category below, but I put it in the fun spending because it wasn't necessary, so that's why I put it there. And then we move on down, you see the miscellaneous budget category. Again, here I put $100 this month, and you'll see I came in way over this amount at $584. And you might be thinking, what the heck, how did you misjudge your amount at the beginning of the month so bad? And the reason being is I actually proposed this month, and after proposing to my now fiance, we went out to dinner with our families, and I picked up that tab, and I put that into this category here instead of food, just because it was a miscellaneous one-off expense that doesn't normally happen. And so that was what went into that category and why I went so far over my budget from the beginning of the month. Moving down, we've got the gym category where I've budgeted $152 and I've spent $152. That one's really easy because it's a recurring amount every month. And again, this might seem a little high for some people, but this is the second category where I really like to spend my money in. And right now, I don't have that expense of rent or mortgage, so I can afford to go to a nicer gym, which I really enjoy and makes life just a lot more fun, makes working out a lot more fun for me. And yeah, so that's why I do that. Next up, you'll see my haircut budget, which I budgeted $45, and I actually didn't get a haircut this month, so I just have $0 there. Moving down, we have subscriptions. Now, in the subscription category, I have a few different subscriptions. I have my Paramount Plus subscription, which I use to watch Champions League games on. I have my Peacock subscription, which I use to watch Premier League games on, and also my family can just use for general other things. And the other subscription in this category is for Seats.Aero, which is a tool that can help you use your points and miles better to find reward flights. This one I should have canceled this month, and I'm dumb for not doing it because I don't need to use it right now, but I didn't do that in time, so I actually come in right on budget of $26.97, even though I know I could save more here, which going forward next month, I'm going to make that change because last month I said I was going to do it, and I need to actually do it. Moving down, we have the travel category. I budgeted $0 for this at the beginning of the month because I knew I wasn't going to be doing any traveling, and as you can see, I hit $0 in this category. So moving on, you'll see the hangout category where I budgeted $100 and I actually spent $123. And in this category, I paid for some hockey tickets to an Anaheim Ducks game. There were some times I went out to hang out with friends that we spent some money, and that's what is in this category, and I went slightly over. And it's just something that I can keep in the back of my mind for next month to be more cautious of or budget better. But yeah, so moving on, you'll see the gifts category where I budgeted $100, but actually spent $279. The reason I went so far over was I wasn't at the beginning of the month planning on doing all my Christmas shopping this month, but with Black Friday, I decided to actually take advantage of some sales for the people I care and love, and I bought some gifts there. So again, this is high, but it means next month I won't have as much as I would have originally expected, and so it all works out. This one I'm not too concerned about. Now, moving on, we have the dates category, which is just things I do with my now fiance, and for this, I budgeted $200, and I actually spent $257. This includes a nice dinner that we went to for our dating anniversary that was on the 14th. So that is what falls into this category and why I went a little bit over. Usually this budget, I actually come in a little bit under every month. So, and again, it kind of all works out. But I do like seeing this because it reminds me of where I can really cut back. The next up category I have is my giving category. And I budgeted $404 and spent $404 this month. So in this category, I actually just have really two things. It's donations to my church and then also donations to this college organization that I was a part of back a few years ago, and it really had a big impact on me, so that's where I like to give my money. Now, I'm not saying you have to go and give money, especially if you don't have it, but if you have the extra income, I think it's a great thing to find causes that you really think are worth it and giving and donating your money there. That's just my personal opinion. Again, you don't have to do that if you don't want to or you can't, but that's just why I have it built into my budget. Next up, we have my car insurance, where I budgeted $0 and spent $0 because I pay for this every 6 months, and so I'll be having this charge coming up in January of next year. Then, moving on, we have our gas category where I budgeted $200 and spent $217.38. And that just was a result of driving more this month. I guess I filled up actually 5 times instead of what I normally do is about 4 times. Not really sure why I drove that much more this month. Part of it was maybe work related. I was going in the office a little bit more, but I overspent there. So hopefully next month I can make some course corrections and drive maybe a little bit less. Then the next category we have is tolls, where this is for the toll road that's near my house, which allows me to get places quite a bit faster. And I only use it if it's actually going to save me a good 5 to 10 minutes because I value my time a lot. But with that being said, I budgeted $100 and I actually spent $134. But again, this is a little bit deceiving because part of this was actually used to commute to work where I can get those expenses reimbursed. So that was what I touched on a little bit earlier where I had those $63 of tolls reimbursed. So really, this is about $70 of tolls spending, which to me is well worth it for the time it saves me throughout the month. And then finally, my last category is my business expense category, which is for this YouTube channel here. And I budgeted $15, and I actually spent $15 for a Canva subscription that I use to make my thumbnails for this channel. So came in right on budget there. And with that being said, we take a look at our total expenses for the month. At the beginning of the month, I budgeted $2,243, and I actually spent $2,823, which is about $600 more than I expected. Now, obviously this isn't ideal, but as I said, I had this big engagement happen this month, which I spent some more money for, as well as just a few other life events and things like that that came up that made it so I spent over my budget. Now, you might be thinking, what's the point of having a budget if you're not going to stick to it? And I agree. I need to actually try to be better about sticking to my budget. But again, a lot of these categories, they work out where some months I'm under and some months I am over. But I am going to use what I know now, and I can make adjustments going forward to my spending. So with that being said, we actually made $3,015 for the month. And what I use this, I then put it into either my Robinhood or my high yield savings account. And as you can see, I put in $1,500 every month towards my traditional brokerage account, which is split across mainly 3 things. It's mainly across VOO, which is an S&P 500 fund, QQQ, which is a tech-based fund, and then also I put a little bit into Bitcoin every month, and that is where I invest outside of my 401k. So another part of my budget spreadsheet that I have is this expense breakdown by category, which is just this pie chart that allows me to a little bit better visualize where I was doing my spending and how much certain categories made up of my total spending. So as you can see here, my food budget took up about 21% of my spending. My miscellaneous categories took up about 20%. My giving took up about 14%, and so on and so forth. This is just helpful for visualizing, like I said, and I like having this, and it's super simple to set up in any Google Sheets spreadsheet. But with that being said, we just have a couple boxes left. You'll see that I have this box for the 50-30-20 rule, which is a basic investment rule of thumb, which says 50% of your income should go towards your needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% towards savings/retirement. And I just like to track this every month just to see how I'm doing. And because of my situation, like I said, where I'm living at home, mine actually works out to be quite different than that, but it's still interesting to see. So with that being said, I was pretty much right on target with everything that I thought. I expected my needs to be about 13.8%. They were 13.9%. My wants, I expected to be 25%, and they were actually 35%. So quite a bit high this month on that end. So I expected to save and invest about 76%, and I only did about 66% this month, which, again, that's fine. That's actually really great that I'm able to save that amount. Then again, I'm also living at home, so I have that room to save, and it's just something that is interesting to keep track of. Then we have a box for reimbursements where I just track my reimbursements for the month, and the only one I actually went through an expense this month through my company was my toll roads, which was about $63. Finally, the last box you'll see is my Amex credits box. This is I just use to track the credits that I have for my Amex credit card, so I'm actually getting use out of the credits and lowering my effective annual fee on the card to make it more worth it. So with that being said, the only two credits I took advantage of this month were my $10 Uber Eats credit and my $7 Dunkin' credit, which I used to buy some iced teas. And I was kind of dumb because I completely missed out on my dining credit this month. I did $0 when there's actually $10 credit, and I just missed out on 10 free dollars, which was super dumb. And that's what kind of why I include this. So next month I can actually think, oh, I should use that credit to lower my effective annual fee to get more value out of that card. So with that being said, we move up to the very top where I do my final overall recap for the month, and you'll see that I increased my SoFi account balance by about $270 this month, my credit union balance by about $20 this month, my Robinhood by about $1,500 this month, my 401k by a little over $1,500 this month, and then also my unvested 401k amount by about $167 a month. So the total change this month was positive $3,444.36. I think that this was a great month for my income and savings, and hopefully going forward I can keep replicating this and keep saving a lot of money to help me towards my financial goals. So with that being said, I hope you found this interesting, maybe a little bit helpful. I know my situation is not the same as everybody else's, but using a spreadsheet like this can really be useful for tracking your finances, and I think this is a good practice for everybody to do every month just to get a grip on their finances and know where exactly they stand and where they're spending so that they can make informed decisions going forward. So if you like this, you can actually check out last month's video right over here to see how it compares, or you could check out this video down here, which is another video that YouTube thinks you would like as well. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.